Alright, so answer. About this character, I went in knowing pretty much nothing about him. It's so rare I run into this character online that I just know he has scrolls, scroll dashes, and that he can throw a card, and that everyone thinks he's trash and that he's weak to blitz. That's basically the gist of it. That's all I knew about Answer before I even started playing him. However, once I started playing him, I noticed that he's actually a very fun character, but I have the feeling that maybe Arxis was a bit scared of making him way too strong. So what do I mean by that? Well, it's pretty simple. On paper, he has all the tools to be insanely good. However, I think Arxis was scared making him way too good. For reasons, I think he would have been a frustrating character to play against. I didn't want someone that's completely broken as a new character. I don't know. There might be many reasons for why this character is not that strong. He feels very undertuned and inconsistent, which is a shame really, because it's actually extremely fun to play, and I wish more characters actually play like him. The whole scroll things and the scroll dashes and the different moves you get from scrolls are actually a very unique idea and actually give him a lot of mobility. He also has a really nice air dash. Sorry, not air dash, super jump. He also has a very good super jump that's somewhat similar to Anji's super jump from older Guilty Gear games. It's very fast and it flies really far, so it's good to catch people off guard. Like, you can get into people really fast with this character, and that's great. For someone that likes rushing people down, it's actually quite a godsend. So it's a bit sad for me, that the amount of effort you have to put to actually be decent with Answer, it's insane. It's really big. He's one of the harder characters I've learned, but not from a combo standpoint or a neutral standpoint, more from like a game plan standpoint, because I cannot really autopilot anything. I actually have to think very well what I want to do and how I want to place my scrolls, because otherwise I would just die immediately. And against really good players, they know how to abuse that, and they know for a fact that this character is very weak to blitz, but I'll get into that in a bit. So let's just go on and talk about what I actually liked about the character, which is quite a bit of stuff. I already kind of talked about some of it now, but let's go a bit more into detail. Alright, so the first thing I noticed when playing Answer were his buttons and his movement. His buttons are great, really good pokes, long range, some of them hit multiple times. His 2D is ridiculous, which I absolutely love. I love that button. I love 2D. I love just tagging people with 2D in neutral. It feels great. Also, he gets very good use of YRC. However, this is part of the negatives. It's kind of hard to get meter with it, so you have to be very smart about how you're using meter, which is one of the reasons why I was telling beforehand that having a good game plan is very important with this character. You cannot just burn all your resources immediately without actually thinking what you're doing. His super jump is very good too. I was actually surprised. I didn't know it was gonna be that good. Gives him a lot of mobility, and you can actually get in on people very fast with it. I was actually using it a lot by the last days because that's when I realized how good it is, pretty much. He also has a command throw, which I really like. Mei also has a command throw. Sol last week had a command throw too. Very good command throw, and it actually has crazy corner carry if you do it with running momentum, which is actually pretty cool and very useful if you want to get people to the corner really quick. And the last thing, outside of actual gameplay reasons, I would say like his whole general style. I find Answer to be a very stylish character, and I kind of want to see him back in Strive, honestly. I feel that he wasn't explored that much, and maybe giving him another chance in Strive would be a pretty cool way to make this character get more fans. People usually get excited when they see an Answer pop up on stream because they don't really see it that often at pro level with Jonio Sand stream. Like, nowhere, you don't really see this character anywhere. So the moment you actually see a really good one, it's exciting because you want to see what they can do, right? Even though they get washed, but it's great. It's good fun, and I hope he actually gets a chance in Strive. Alright boys, but now it is time to talk about the negatives. There's quite a bit. Not game breaker or anything, but there's quite a bit. So let's go. So I actually went to the Dust Loop guide to check the negatives of the character, just to, validate myself, to make sure that I wasn't crazy. Like, is it true? Are these legitimate complaints, or am I just being a scrub? And let me just read you the first one, and I'm gonna go with the other ones, which are pretty much the same as what it says on Dust Loop anyways. And the first one says, very meter hungry and often struggles to maintain meter. Well, remember when I was talking about YRC and how you have to be smart about it? Well, it's kind of related to this. his meter burns out really quickly, and you don't gain it very fast either. So you have to be very careful about how you do your things, and you have to make it count. You cannot just RC like a crazy person all the time. Doing Resho RC, it's really not the best thing you can do. Speaking of Resho, that move makes me sad. Every time someone blocks it, it's a scrub killer, don't get me wrong, but every time a good player blocks it, my turn ends. I have to deal with it. I cannot just contest with a button. I could, but it's extremely risky. And even on hit, it's not that recommended to actually contest, which is kind of, kind of a shame. I wish that move was a bit better. I was using it a lot at first, thinking that it worked kind of like chips, but doesn't really work like chips at all. The only cool thing that Resho has is that if you do a far S, like max range far S, and you cancel into Resho, you'll stop right in front of your opponent, and you can actually command grab. I could never get this in a match because it would always catch me by surprise, but just know you can do it. It's actually a good thing to know. And now let me just talk about one last thing, and that's how difficult his Oki and combos are at first. So you'll definitely spend a bit of time just on training mode, getting used to how his scrolls work, which is the main characteristic of this character. You're gonna have to think that if you want to get into a scroll, you have to stop holding any direction, so answer actually holds it. It's very unintuitive at first, since you're used from playing other characters that when you're in the air you want to hold back at least to be able to guard air attacks. However, with answer, if you want to cling to scroll, you have to stop holding anything, so it's a bit confusing at first. Once you start getting the hang of it, it gets a bit better, but you'll notice how when you're playing, you'll sometimes cling into stuff that you don't want to, and it gets extremely annoying. Or vice versa, you want to cling, but you're holding a direction, so answer doesn't cling into anything. So it's very annoying. People were actually noticing this from seeing me play, My opponents were basically noticing that I was struggling with that, so they would always meet me in neutral at the scrolls, and I was actually having an insanely difficult time dealing with it because I wasn't dominating that part of his game, so they were actually taking advantage of it, and I mean, you cannot blame them. That's what I would do as well. So yeah, those are my gripes with the character. I feel he's very undertuned. He could be much stronger, but sadly, for some reason Arxis decided that he doesn't deserve to be stronger, and as I said before, I hope we get to see him on Strive so he can develop a bit more. Even if he doesn't play the same, but at least have the character back, because I think a lot of people like him. I think a lot of people find Answer to be a really cool character, and it's quite a shame that it's not a character that's played a lot and that he's not very common, so we don't get to see much about him. It would kind of suck if he only appears in Rev2, basically. So now let's just talk about who might actually enjoy this character, because I think that even though the character is pretty bad, there's still people that might like it, and I'll go into that in a bit. Alright, so who might like Answer? I feel that the people that might like this character are people that, for one, like execution heavy characters, but not too much. It's not a Zato, it's not a Johnny, but it's someone in between, I would say. Someone that likes good buttons and someone that likes good rushdown. He actually has really good frame traps, and most of his frame traps actually come from being very comfortable with using the scrolls. Using the scrolls and using his normals accordingly. Sadly, I don't think you can actually learn that sort of stuff in a week. I feel that if you really want to get to the point where you're dangerous with Answer, it's one of those characters that you actually have to dedicate a ridiculous amount of time with. I would say that having a pocket Answer, it's doable, but it's not easy at all. So if you're one of those people that like really good footsies, really good rushdown, really good movement and so on, I think Answer is actually a really good pick. There are other characters that do things better, however, so I would say that if you really want to play Answer because you think he looks cool, go for it, but just know that there are other characters in the cast as well that do everything that he does, but much better and for less the effort. So remember that you have to be willing to go through quite a bit of a struggle at first if you want to actually get the most out of the character. So don't forget about that. I'm not saying that he's unplayable, just know that there's quite a bit of work involved. But if you're the kind of people that likes putting in the work and having wins that feel really good, then Answer is the perfect character for you. Okay, so who might not like Answer? I feel that the people that won't like this character are people that are not fan of character specific stuff. That they don't want to deal with different combos or different Oki for different characters. In this case, it's literally characters, not even weight classes. It's pretty much every character will have its own combo. It's kind of annoying, honestly. I was trying to do the same combo against everyone and it didn't work. It was the basic B&B. So that kind of annoyed me about the character. So at least in my opinion, I don't think I could play Answer as a main. Probably as a pocket character just for fun, but definitely not as a main. So if you're someone like that don't really like character specific stuff, you might want to avoid Answer. Even if you find him cool, you might want to have it maybe as a pocket, as I said, like I do myself now, but definitely not as a main. So now I want to talk about what I would change about the character. And I think there's just two things, just two very small things I would change to actually make the character a bit more fun in my opinion. And that's making him a bit more consistent across the board, combo related. Having that many inconsistency between characters, I don't know, I'm not a fan of it. I was never a fan of overly character specific combos, and Answer is full of them. And it's not only combos, it's Oki too. So in my opinion, it's a bit too much. Some people like it because it's more stuff to lab, more variety, but I'm definitely not a fan of it. And the other thing I would change, I think it would be his meter gain. I feel his meter gain is a bit too low. I would give him a bit more, maybe give him a bit more rewards from using his meter. He already does, but I would say that a bit more would not harm him in any way. Those are the two things that I think would do very well for Answer. His buttons are already great, and I think fixing his inconsistencies and his meter gain would do a great job at making the character way more accessible to people. Because right now the only people that I feel will main this character are people that really like Answer as a character, aesthetically and his general theme. You know, ninjas, business ninjas, I guess, and all that jazz. You know, I think that's the sort of people that might be interested in the character more than the gameplay, would be definitely his looks. So that's it for Answer. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please remember that this is not a guide, this is more of an impressions video, a personal impressions video, so our opinions might not be the same between you and me, so keep it civil, don't go too crazy on comments. I'm not attacking your character if I say I don't like it, so there's that. If you really like the video and you want to hear more about it, feel free to subscribe to my YouTube and follow me on Twitch and on Twitter. I tend to stream most of the time. From now on, I will dedicate 5 days to each character. It won't be a week, it will be 5 days, in the sense that I'm gonna be doing 5 different streams. So there will be 5 streams dedicated to every single character, so that way I can give a fair chance to everyone. Because sadly, I only gave Answer 4 streams and Soul 4 streams because I was trying to keep it up for a week, but sadly my schedule is a bit too chaotic right now and I cannot do that. So instead what I would be doing, as I said, is 5 different streams for each character, and we'll see how it goes. I think it's gonna go much better this way, even though it might take a bit longer, but I think it's still gonna be pretty fun. So guys, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have a great day. Till next time.